crime victims to be asked if they're happy with our justice system. The lottery gremlins strike again live on television, and the delights and disappointments of Derby Day.
This is National 9 News with Georgina McGuinness.
Good evening. Also tonight, Australia about to supply tents, toilets and water tanks to survivors of the Turkish earthquake. But first, victims of crime are to be the focus of a new survey announced by the state government. It's the first time such a study has been carried out here, and it will finally give those affected by crime the chance to speak out about how they've been treated by the justice system.
Every year, thousands of South Australians become innocent victims of crime. How they feel they've been treated by the justice system and the community will now be addressed through a survey of 500 victims.
What was the sort of support they got from police when they reported the crime? Did they get support which helped them to cope with the trauma of the criminal act?
The survey is part of the government's Victims of Crime review. The first part of the report was released in June and recommended some 60 changes, including updating the Criminal Injuries Compensation Act, which hasn't been altered since 1969.
If there are criticisms, I expect that they're made frankly, and I can tell you that we will address them constructively.
The Victim Support Service has welcomed the survey but is disappointed it wasn't done sooner. According to the Victim Support Service, those affected by crime often feel they're not given the information and support they need to get them through what is often a long and complicated court process.
They suffer quite a lot of indignity and treatment of disrespect, not only by the people within the system, but also by the community. So they need acknowledgement, they need to be trusted and believed.
Rosemary Fox, National 9 News.
Adelaide Police were called to Dry Creek last night after reports of gunfire. They went to the headquarters of the Descendants Motorcycle Club but say they found no evidence of gunshots. And 2 men have been found guilty of the execution-style murders of 3 bikies in Sydney almost 2 years ago. The Bandidos members were shot at the Black Market nightclub in November 1997. Their relatives say the killers should be jailed for life.
After 2 aborted trials and 3 months of evidence, it took the jury just 2 days to deliver their verdict. The finding apparently little consolation for the victims' relatives.
Your heart's pounding. It's half relief, but then you start grieving because then you realise, you know, they're not going to be out there.
Obviously, losing a loved one in, like I said, an execution, cold-blooded murder is very hard to move forward, but we have to. We've got no choice.
Justice may have been done, yes, but it doesn't make it any easier. I don't know, just more people are hurting.
No clear motive has ever been established for the execution-style slayings in which 3 members of the Bandidos Motorcycle Club were shot in the head at point-blank range. The 2 men convicted of murder were members of a rival motorcycle club, the Rebels. One of them, whose car was seen speeding away from the club, has always insisted he wasn't even there. But his co-accused, tattoo artist Bruce Harrison, says he didn't know any of the dead men and was only caught up in the crossfire when one of the victims shot him in the wrist. Crucial to Harrison's defence was evidence from a police ballistics expert who conceded the crime scene may have been contaminated, landing the bullet that hit Harrison under the body of one of the dead men. Deborah Cornwall, National 9 News.
Australia has increased its aid to Turkey, pledging more than 1,000 tents, as well as water tanks and hundreds of mobile toilets. Meanwhile, the horror continues to mount in the region. There are now more than 12,000 confirmed dead. Tens of thousands are still missing. And for survivors, the danger is far from over, with authorities still fearing an outbreak of disease.
They're continuing to bury the dead in Turkey as the race to find survivors becomes a race to stop the spread of disease and infection. The battered people of this region now threatened by typhoid and cholera. The smell of decay hangs everywhere. The dead are buried as soon as they're recovered. The fear is makeshift hospitals, now treating the injured, could soon be faced with an epidemic. But in a country that has lost so much and so many, there are still victories and moments of joy. This young girl found semi-conscious, alive after more than 100 terrifying hours surrounded by death. Sadly, her twin brother died in the ruins. Others were freed as well. This young man, unscathed, remarkably able to stand. This man was also alive, high-fiving his son as he was pulled to safety, joining 3 more children and a 95-year-old woman rescued today. For every survivor, though, there are thousands of bodies. Foreign rescue teams will soon abandon the search.
We're now into a situation where we're retrieving from very difficult locations within collapsed buildings, dead bodies.
It is now also very much a clean-up operation. Relatives plead for more time to find loved ones as bulldozers remove the remnants of a horror few will forget. Hundreds of thousands continue to live on the streets and in hastily built tent cities, with no sanitation and amid mounting piles of rubbish. They survive on handouts and aid pouring into the country, and they live with the fear of more tremors and more death. Lane Kelcutt, National 9 News.
12 days into the search for those 4 snowboarders missing in the snowy mountains, and there's still no sign of them. Police now think they were buried under snow at the start of their excursion 15 days ago. But there could be signs of that American adventurer missing for almost a month in remote Western Australia. Near the Edgar Ranges south of Derby, a team of searchers has come across a campsite that may have been used by Robert Baguki. They found a tarpaulin and a water container. A Broome police officer is on his way to the site. The Republican debate entered a new phase today, with debate likely to focus on whether the Queen's image should stay on Australia's currency. There are suggestions that her image could be removed and replaced by such notable Australians as cricket legend Sir Don Bradman.
Republicans say it's a simple question. Do you want to replace the Queen with an Australian head of state? But when it comes to other symbols like Her Majesty's head on our coins, it's a toss-up over who would take her place.
I'd pick a great scientist like Howard Florey. I think he's probably the greatest Australian that's ever lived.
Attorney General Darryl Williams pick cricket hero Don Bradman.
He's a national icon.
If Australians do vote yes to the Republic, even monarchists agree the Queen could no longer appear on our currency.
It must change, otherwise we would look rather foolish, wouldn't we?
The Queen's supporters say the monarch would have to be swapped for the new president, but warn it's all or nothing.
All of the symbols, including the coins and the flags and the RAN and RAAF, obviously have to change.
Both the heads and tails of our coins are currently being reviewed, but the minister in charge of the Mint, Republican Joe Hockey, says there are no plans to take off the Queen's head.
There is an enduring relationship between the Australian people and the Queen, and why not keep the Queen on our coinage even if we do become a republic?
Regardless of November's referendum result, the Australian Republican movement says the coin debate is simply not an issue, that like it or not, the Queen will be replaced, if not by a president, by a king, when Prince Charles takes the throne. Fleur Bitcon, National 9 News.
An investigation has begun into an embarrassing bungle which upset one of Australia's highest-paying lotto draws. It's the second time in just 1 week that faulty equipment forced red-faced officials to redraw the lotto numbers.
4 million Australians had pinned their hopes on winning the $15 million First Division prize. Many of them watched in disbelief as, for the second time this week, the electronic machine broke down.
It looks like we've got a number there. We'll have to stop the... It's not a number, right?
The fifth ball, number 41, had jammed. It was declared invalid, forcing an off-air redraw. As officials prepared a backup to select the last 4 numbers, frustration spilled over.
That's incredible, isn't it? 2 in a row.
We'll be at the 9 o'clock 3AW News. And then in the paper in the morning, oh, geez, it'll all happen again.
It's regrettable that there is a machine breakdown. However, the official result stands, and it's unfortunate for anybody that might have had that 5th number.
Until this week, Tattersalls had experienced just 3 failures in its 27-year history. Last Tuesday, a faulty sensor forced an Oz Lotto machine into overdrive. Tattersalls will check and service all 6 draw machines tomorrow, but it's offering no guarantees they won't fail again.
We're using mechanical devices, and there's always a risk that they may malfunction.
That's a risk many punters may now be reluctant to take.
It's not good enough.
What can be done? You tell me. How can it be avoided?
Last night's redraw gave 12 Division 1 winners more than $1 million each. Susie Calder, National 9 News.
Adelaide turned on perfect weather today for showdown number 6 between the Crows and Port Power. And for many, it's one of the few days in the year when family loyalties are divided.
For Port Power fans, Showdown 6 took on a very special meaning because for the first time they're in the finals.
We're the pride of South Australia, we're the mighty Adelaide Crows.
As they gathered for the traditional car park barbecue, Crows fans were on hand to let them know it was going to be hard fought. Some looked to the heavens for a sign, but even that seemed evenly divided.
They will not, they won't.
My heart says Crows, but Port in form should win.
The experts in the field had a definite view.
I reckon the Crows will bounce back myself. I've just got a feeling that they might bounce back.
I think the big test for us today, if we can win today, we'll go pretty well in the finals.
Today's match was a sellout, so for those who missed out on tickets, there was always the local. Even 10-year-old Melinda Baldacera, who suffered an electric shock in a freak accident near Tumby Bay yesterday, still had enough strength to support her team from hospital, though her third-degree burns kept her subdued. And as the morning passed, the lines grew longer for the pilgrimage to a game only South Australians can truly understand. An indication of just how important this game is to Port Power supporters, they've shunned their very own club rooms here in the heartland and they've stayed away in droves, preferring instead to go to the grounds and watch the game live. However, by later tonight, these rooms might very well be jam-packed. At the end of the day, despite a local side winning the match, not all South Australians went home happy. Xavier Manicon, National 9 News.
An Australian customs raid on a container ship in Sydney has caught 3 illegal immigrants and their organiser. That story after the break. While from the US, 2 stars of the screen are feeling a little blue. One has missed her footing, the other her target.
Mercedes C-Class from only $53,000.
David Jones is pleased to announce no deposit 2 years interest-free on all furniture and bedding. That's no deposit 2 years interest-free. For a limited time only.
Maybe it's because we live in a hectic world that we all strive for a better quality of life. At Mawson Lakes, you can live the life you want, the way you want to, with lakes and parks to explore and enjoy. Friendly, leafy streets where you can leave the car to walk or ride. Homes designed to work for you, saving you time and money, and tomorrow's technology at your fingertips when you want to use it. At Mawson Lakes, it all makes sense. Look for the signs on Main North Road.
The Honda Accord VTIL comes with the remarkable VTEC engine and produces 80% less toxic emissions than the Australian standard requires, which should go down very well with Mother Nature. What an idea.
Why do Australians drink 11 million cups of Nescafe every day?
Nescafe in the morning, it's like that taste. You can really feel it coming. It's like, yum.
Gets the taste buds going, you know.
It's like a little security blanket.
I think it's just the perfect ending to a meal.
Tastes like liquid silk.
Oh, please.
Liquid silk.
Nescafe, mate, that's better than beer.
I can't face that out there without this. Definitely my saviour.
Can I say it's a great taste every time? Can I?
Let's talk Ford Falcon.
It's Australia's best value with the most powerful Standard 6 and the lowest running costs in its class. From only $29,990 drive away with airbag, 4-speed auto, air conditioning and remote central locking, plus the biggest interior in its class. All from only $29,990 drive away. That's outstanding value. Impressive, isn't it?
Now you're talking Ford dealers.
A premier television event, Noah's Ark, begins Monday.
This is National 9 News. A Chinese crewman has been charged with organising a people smuggling ring after a raid on a container ship in Sydney. 3 stowaways were also found on board. All will be held at a Sydney detention centre.
Rather get the people who organise it, the people at the top, the people who make the money out of it, than the mere underlings underneath.
The crewmen appeared in court today. They were released on bail to face a magistrate again tomorrow. Hollywood screen legend Elizabeth Taylor is recovering in a Los Angeles hospital after injuring her back during a fall at home. It's the latest incident in a series of medical problems that 7-year-old star in recent years.
The actress broke a bone in her back. Has undergone repeated hip surgery. In 1997, she had a benign tumour removed from her brain. Her back problems reportedly stem from an injury sustained when she fell off a horse during the filming of National Velvet in 1945. And actress Geena Davis has missed her target of making the US archery team for the Sydney Olympics. Just 2 years after taking up the sport, Davis qualified for the American semi-finals but was unable to progress through the final 16.
Any of the 3 9s I have. I didn't have any 10s. So.
All right. Despite missing the cut, 43-year-old Davis says she loved the challenge and has now set her sights on the 2004 Games. Deanna Williams, National 9 News.
Nearly 300 fitness fanatics strutted their stuff around the streets of Adelaide this morning in the annual Festival City Marathon.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go!
The field was sent on its way just before 7 o'clock, including former Premier John Bannon. The gruelling 42-kilometre event was run on a new course, mainly around the western side of the city. Victorian Chris Muirden took out the men's section with 2 hours, 28 minutes and 26 seconds, while Lee Wright of Warradale won the women's in 3 hours, 2 minutes, 33. Here's KG with the rest of the day's sport and 3-all on the Showdown scoreboard, Ken.
Yes, Georgie, even Stevens on the Derby Stakes, and Showdown 7 should be an absolute
And you
beauty.
tipped Port. You actually tipped a winner.
You tipped the Crows too.
Yeah, okay.
Hi everyone, after the break, all the exciting action from Derby Day, and we'll cross live to Alberton as Port celebrates its first finals campaign. Also, a high-flying South Australian wins a medal at the World Championships.
You're about to witness a miracle. The first paraplegic to walk again. You won't believe how they did it. And David Copperfield. I'm crazy. One very tricky customer.
Why are you watching my lips?
Tonight on 60 Minutes.
This is George. He's my human. It's our first novel, and I think we're finally getting somewhere.
Sally, I think we're finally getting somewhere.
We lead rather a hectic social life, so I enjoy our quiet moments together. As in any relationship, compatibility is essential. Luckily for me, we both share the same passion for good food. Of course, there are times when you need your own space.
Vehicle hit wall square on. Driver, collide with steering wheel now. Front passenger impact.
All car manufacturers use controlled crash tests to prove the safety of their cars. But out here, a recent survey into over 500,000 real-life crashes found 91 to 97 Magna to be the safest Australian-built car. And new Magna is built to the same standards. So why choose anything else?
Harris Scarf is the department store with all the big brands.
I like it.
All at everyday low prices.
I like it.
Everything from Manchester to electrical.
I like it.
Quality homewares to the latest fashion.
I like it.
From foundation cream to foundation garments, you're sure to like it.
I like it.
I like it. I like it. I like it.
Cosmetics, cameras, travelwear.
I like it.
You name it, you'll find it at Harris Scarf.
I like it.
You'll get all the credit you deserve.
I like it.
And real old-fashioned service from great sales staff.
I like it.
Harris Scarf, I like it.
Introducing My Dog Special Selection.
It's a new dry food specially prepared with carefully selected meats, ocean fish and garden vegetables. My Dog's special selection for the most discerning palate.
From just $39,990 with dual airbags and air conditioning standard, there's now an even better way to unwind at participating Holden dealers.
This sports segment brought to you by Commodore Series 2.
To sport, and what a day it's been for Port Adelaide. Last night they found out they'd won a place in the finals for the first time, and today they levelled the showdown series at 3-3 with a win over the Crows. We cross live now to Hamish Arthur at Alberton. And Hamish, what's the atmosphere like?
Well, Ken, it's just tremendous. Hundreds of Port supporters have gathered here to Alberton to celebrate the club's first appearance in the AFL finals. An historic day. The club's done it in its third year, emulating the feat of the Adelaide Crows. They also did it in their third year. Now, if results go its way, it could finish as high as 5th next weekend, or as low as 8th. And if it finishes 5th or 6th, it could get a double chance in the finals. Now, with its finals berth secure when Geelong won last night, the weight of expectations came off the players today in Terray's terrific showdown win over the Adelaide Crows. Port winning by 24 points. Shea Cockatoo-Collins kicking 4 goals. Let's go to the highlights.
Football Park was packed to the rafters for a game that would count for little on the ladder, but everything in terms of pride. Perfect conditions brought near perfect football. At ground level, it was man on man, the Power slightly ahead in the battle of strength. Darren Jarman loomed dangerously for the reigning premiers, but the Power shrugged off its goal-kicking woes in spectacular fashion. None more freakish than this from Chad Corns. Down by 11 points, the Crows struck first in the second term, but that seemed to spark the Power. Port striking truly from impossible situations to add 6 for the term. Even the Port defenders craved the action. By the long break, a Power surge by 28 points. Port had planned a cakewalk. Adelaide had other ideas. Newfound endeavour from the reigning premiers saw them cut the margin from 41 points to just 17. The Crows were throwing everything at the ball, even each other. As tempers frayed, the scene was set for a blockbuster finish. But when Smart joined Robran on the injury list, the Crows were running out of legs. Last-ditch efforts were stopped by a powerful defence. While after a day of misses, for Stuart Dew, a timely hit, sending the Power into the finals on a high. The Power faithful issuing their heroes a worthy send-off. Vicky Jobe, National 9 News.
Despite Nick Stevens hobbling off in the last quarter, Port says it's come through today's game injury-free and could get a host of players back for next week's game against the Bulldogs. Treadway, Lockwood, Francis and Burgoyne. Now, after today's game, Mark Williams issued a stern warning to the other teams in the top 8.
No, we're pretty happy, and that's those sides that we potentially may play, you better watch out. I think you can play that. No, I think we've shown that we can play anywhere and win anywhere, and that probably scares a lot of teams. Making the finals is one thing, we want to win finals as well.
So they're going to be playing Essendon, North Melbourne or Brisbane, so that, you know, it's going to be out of this state. Look, if they could win that game, well, it can open up the door to anything, but it's going to be a tough first ask, but they've deserved the right to be there. Just like last week, we beat Melbourne, and I think everyone talked down the game. I think we beat Adelaide, and you can talk it down again. I don't care, we won.
What a weekend for Mark Williams, his 41st birth yesterday. Now his team's playing in the AFL finals, which he describes as the greatest time on earth. Now all these legions of Port supporters and his young players will get to taste it firsthand. Back to you, Ken.
Thank you, Hamish, and a pretty happy scene down there at Alberton. Port Adelaide's place in that was sealed last night when Hawthorn knocked Geelong out of the race. The Hawks won an absolute thriller by 2 points. Sydney sealed its spot by beating Fremantle. Today, the Kangaroos beat Collingwood by 13 points, while the Bulldogs beat the West Coast by only 2 points. So with one round to play, the final 8 is settled. All that's left is to finalise the order. The Power is 7th, but could finish as high as 5th if they beat the Bulldogs in Melbourne next weekend, and the West Coast and Carlton both lose. And Australia has won its first medal at the World Athletics Championships in Spain. Adelaide-based pole vaulter Tatiana Grigorieva, upstage world record holder and teammate Emma George to take bronze on day one.
Up until her recent back injury, George had been considered favourite for the event, but there was little confidence in her approach and a lot of danger in the way she completed the attempt. Aussie teammate Grigorieva salvaged the day, clearing 4.45 metres to take the bronze.
And goes close.
American Stacey Dragila won the gold and also equalled Emma George's world record of 4.6 metres.
Dragila, she goes clear.
A less than happy Matt Shervington has made it into the semi-finals of the men's 100 metres. Running in lane 4, he finished third in a time of 10.16 seconds.
Shervington's qualified.
But says he can do so much better.
You know, that wasn't the race I wanted, but I mean...
Also into the semis, an elated Lauren Hewitt. From lane 2, she clocked a personal time of 11.28 seconds. The other Aussie hope, Nova Peres-Kneebone, failed to qualify after finishing 7th. In day 1 heats of the Pan Pacific Swimming Championships, as expected, Grant Hackett and Ian Thorpe have qualified for tonight's final of the 400 metres freestyle. Hackett was fastest and was within 1/10 of a second of breaking his own championship record. Many believe tonight's final will yield a new world time. Ken Sutcliffe, National 9 News.
Rain has disrupted Australia's first one-day international against Sri Lanka. A short time ago, Australia finished its rain-reduced innings at 9 for 206 after openers Adam Gilchrist and Mark Waugh put on 59 in the first 10 overs. Opener Adam Gilchrist was the victim of a controversial run-out. Replays revealing the wicketkeeper not only dropped the ball, but that Gilchrist was safely home. But the third umpire saw it differently, dismissing Gilchrist for 27. 9 English Premier League soccer games were played overnight. Winners were Chelsea, Coventry, Everton, Leeds, Middlesbrough. A 3-3 draw between Newcastle and Wimbledon, while the Spurs, Watford and West Ham were also successful. And that's it for a huge day in sport, Georgie, but don't forget, of course, straight after the news, we're across to Sydney for the Pan Pacific Swimming Championships, and they should be great, Georgie.
It's going to be a big night.
Big night.
Thank you, KG. Xavier will be here right after the break with the weather for the new week.
Tonight, Kathy Bates.
So nice meeting you.
Knows Sharon Stone's dirty little secrets. The thrilling premiere of Diabolique, 8:30 tonight on 9.
It's not about the longest hair or the straightest hair. It's about the best your hair can be. Using new breakthrough Pantene Ultra V shampoo and conditioner together is the best way to smooth, add shine and protect your hair. New Pantene Ultra V. It turns the hair you have into the hair you love.
There's a new Prado on the block, with over 20 improvements to the most awarded new four-wheel drive in the country.
Oh, what a feeling.
New look Prado. It's the best way to survive the city.
Get it on and shout. The best ever glam album. It's for everybody everywhere. The best ever glam album.
If you're eating a Sunday roast today, what are you going to eat on Sunday?
Perhaps a chicken parmigiana.
Why are they wearing pyjamas?
Who?
The chickens.
Ah, McCain, you've done it again. Beneath the beauty of the new Lexus LS 400 is a V8 beast with an awesome power. The power to think. Highly intelligent, variable valve thinking. Lexus LS 400, brain power.
Top-class swimming nations are set to collide over 7 nights. The Qantas Pan Pacific Championships. Next.
On Nine's Wide World of Sports.
Good evening, everyone. Well, it was a wonderful day, a fantastic day, in fact, and I do hope you're out there enjoying the fresh air and the sunshine. Let me show you how it unfolded. First in Adelaide today, starting at 8.1, about 6:30 this morning, rose to 15.9. That came in at about 2:45. At 6 o'clock, the barometric pressure rising and the temperature around 13.7 degrees. Having a look at the clouds now, not much to see, fairly patchy as it was. Middle-level cloud mainly through the interiors and out in the far west. Also from that, some isolated shower activity. It was patchy rain to start with, turned into the isolated shower activity. It is still in the far west and likely to clear in the forecast period. The rest of the state remaining fine and dry. Looking at the analysis, the high is dominant, moving slowly to the east. With that, we've had a southeast and northeast airstream. Further movement of the high towards the east will see the airstream turn more towards an east and northeast over the next few days, keeping us mild and dry. If you're heading interstate, you can expect showers for Cairns, Brisbane and Perth, the maximum ranging from 13 in Hobart up to 32 degrees in Broome. And here in our state today, maximum range from 11 degrees at Parawa up to 27 degrees at Oodnadatta. Having a look at the forecast then, the isolated showers in the far west. Early morning frost and fog, mild to warm day though, with a southeast to northeast airstream. On the warnings, there is a frost risk. It is slight for the Riverland, Murray Bridge, Barossa and Coonawarra. All other areas are reported nil. Out around the country centres, Broken Hill, 6 overnight, 18 tomorrow. Maitland down to 4 and 18 tomorrow. Elsewhere in the state, we can expect Murray Bridge at 3 overnight, 18 tomorrow. Renmark at 3 and 18. Victor Harbour, 8 overnight, but looking lovely with 18 degrees tomorrow. On the waters then, the east and northeast winds 10 to 15 knots, becoming variable by the afternoon and seas up to ½ a metre. For the metropolitan area then, lovely and warm tomorrow, 18 degrees at Adelaide and Elizabeth, 16 Mount Barker, 18 also for Noarlunga. And over the next few days, we've got the northerlies coming through, keeping us warm right through to Wednesday. Then late Wednesday, we've got the shower activity moving in for Thursday, but it should be only overnight, clearing away on Thursday, so the longer-term forecast is becoming fine by this time next weekend. Here's Georgie and KG.
Thank you, Xavier. And in tomorrow night's news, we'll report from a South Australian country town where 9 houses in the same neighbourhood have been trashed by their occupants. Join Rob and Kevin at 6 for that. And the swimming is coming up right now, Ken.
Yes, Georgie, the Pan Packs from Homebush, Clem, Thorpe, Hackett, all the big guns. It should be fantastic.
Big night. Good night for now.
Bye, everyone.